All right, everybody, we're back. Brand new Cabral Concept. Episode is 3203. I share that with you because I'm going to be providing a lot of the resources I used over this past year in order to get rid of debilitating neck pain, sometimes called nerd neck or tech neck, using a healthy desk setup. I'll share with you all the things that didn't necessarily work with me and the ones that did. Now, some will work for you, some won't. What I want to do is give you a clear picture as to how these things can happen. So I'm someone that enjoys exercise. I enjoy, working out and pretty much always have. And so I didn't think that I would be someone that's had to deal with a lot of what are called cervical flexion or cervical vertebrae pain. What does that mean? Basically, it just means it's a pain in the neck, literally. And so what happened was essentially whenever I would tilt my chin down or up, I would hear this popping in the back of my neck. So I went and I said, okay, let's get a real diagnosis of what's going on. I can make my best educated guess at this, but why don't I go see a couple of colleagues of mine who are great chiropractors. They'll look at my spine and I'll understand it to a better degree there. And so I'm not someone who likes to do x-rays and all that, but I know great people are able to assess the spine well. And I did get an MRI, full body MRI, about a year ago. So I was able to share with them those results. So not the radiation, because I get non-contrast, so no radiation. And so what it found was that I had degeneration in 2 of the discs. And I said, okay, well, I'm not that old. And so what I need to do is start paying attention to this now so that I don't end up with serious neck pain in the future. And what I also was finding that I was getting a lot of stiffness in my neck, meaning very low mobility and flexibility, turning side to side, or even up and down. I couldn't touch the back of my head all the way back to essentially my trapezius muscles, the muscles on my upper back. And to make a long story short, what I found was that I was starting to get the beginning of neck or cervical vertebrae degeneration. And here's what I surmised, is that me sitting at my desk for an extended period of time had really just added up. There was no one injury that happened. There was nothing that happened when I was lifting weights, nothing at all. And so I share with you, sometimes these things can literally just catch up with you, and I'm going to share with you a solution now. So what I did, understanding that I've been doing, this essentially, just like you, if you're at a desk, I am reading, researching, writing, recording. Now, you might not be doing the 4 R's like I talk about, but that's what I do the majority of my day. I mean, it really is. Even though I'm in the health field, I'm reading, researching, recording and writing. Like, that's what I do. And so I have to be cognizant, obviously, to stand as well. But I've got this really big monitor. I've got a 4-foot monitor, 4 feet wide, and it allows me to have a lot of research documents up at the same time. And I can take notes and I can write and all the different things that I like. But I find myself with my chin too far forward in front of my body, really staring at the screen, even though the screen is a good, let's call it 2 feet away. And so over time, that started to lead to that stiffness in my neck, because think about it, your head is like a 6-pound object or so, somewhere around there, that you then need to use these muscles to pull back, which puts tension on those muscles, can cause inflammation and some of the degeneration of the discs. So what did I do? Well, like most people, I started to work right away on my posture. I did more band work, right, to pull open my chest and SCM muscles. I did more stretching to open up my neck. I did more doorway stretching to help open up my pectorals, my chest muscles. I even bought some of those posture straps when I was at my desk to start pulling my shoulders back more. And you know what? It did not work in the least. Those things had no effect. Now, maybe they will for you. But I'd already been working on posture, and I'd already been, working on rows and pull downs and pull ups and all these different things. And I've been doing band work. So it's not like I haven't been doing that. So for me, now you may need those, but for me, that just didn't work. So what did I move on to next? Well, there are different devices I talked about on the podcast that you can use to open up mobility in your neck. I even bought a traction device that you put around your chin and the back of your head. And now I had my wife, and I think she actually enjoyed it a little bit, pull on this device as I was lying down to help pull my neck open into basically traction. Of course, this was done carefully. And although that felt nice, it really did, it felt great, I only got temporary relief. And so I had to start looking at what are some different variables. And the variable I kept looking at is, even if I kept good posture, hopefully I'm in good posture right now, is that it still wasn't working. What else did I need to look at? I had to look at stopping being seated for too long during the day. So what I went back to is, I didn't do it sometimes, I did it every day. I would go back to what I call my walk and talks. So every morning from about 7:30 to 8:30 a.m., 7:45 to 8:45 at the latest, I'm walking and talking with team members. So I'm literally walking outside or on a walking treadmill. Now, I can't lift that up, but maybe I can put it right here over my shoulder. And what we'll do is we'll share with you these different resources that I really love. So I'm either outside, or if I have to be at my desk, I'm standing and walking on this walking treadmill. What does it do? Well, first thing in the morning, it helps to stimulate the glutes, basically your butt muscles. And that allows you then to sit up straighter. I'm not going to go too deep into it now, but it's called an anterior posterior pelvic tilt. Helps get you back to neutral because you're using the muscles that activate the core, which are the abdominal muscles, transverse abdominis, your psoas muscles, all of that. So it allows you to have better posture, activating those muscles. Also, of course, you're not standing. I'm going to get to the big one in just a second. The next one that I did is, even after I was done with my morning walk, and I was still working, but walking and talking, is that I used my standing desk. So I got away from it a little bit, like most people. Again, you're just like, oh, is it really doing anything? I don't really know. And so what I started to do was I made sure, and I'm going to give you my recommendations for a standing desk, is that I was standing for almost the entire first half of the day until lunchtime. I would sit at lunch. I do believe in sitting, being relaxed while you eat. And then I might stand again. Or I might sit down during some afternoon meetings because then I'm exercising again in the afternoon. But essentially the first half of the day, standing. Now, a lot of people can get fatigued standing, and I was the same way. I use something called an anti-fatigue pad, sometimes called a gravity pad or gravity mat. And what it does, it's a cushioned mat that one essentially takes all the pressure off of your lower body and hips. You do want to make sure that you're keeping your knees slightly bent. You don't want to lock out your knees while standing, or you don't want to sway forward with your hips against the desk. You want to stand normally, but this anti-fatigue mat is cushioned. It's like an inch of cushion. And so it kind of makes you a little fidgety, meaning like you move around a little bit more on it, which helps with circulation. It improves muscle activation and much more. That made a game-changing difference, because standing in one place isn't even that great. It allows blood to pool in your legs. You can start to collapse your arches in your feet, lock out your knees, sway your back. We don't want that. But standing on this anti-fatigue mat, I'll show it to you right now, is a game changer. And so you can see it's only about an inch wide if you're watching this on video, and it is really easy to clean. I always wear socks. I don't wear shoes, and it sticks right to your floor. It's not like a sticky pad, but it doesn't move. It grips right on. So I use that every single day for at least, let's call it 3 hours, and it's done an amazing job. And the last part, I'll say in this with the standing desk, and then I'm going to give you the reason why all of this worked. I finally essentially came to the bottom of it, and I'll tell you how in just a second, is that my standing desk allows for 3 different settings. So the first one, super simple. That's the one that I sit at when I'm recording this podcast, just like this, or I'm working. The second one is the standing height that I like. Now, standing height means you still keep your shoulders relaxed and your elbows by your side. So don't put the desks too high, because then you shrug and that can hurt your neck as well. And the third one, you can really set for whatever you like. And I have one setting for my daughter, who sometimes uses my desk to do her homework and study as well. So it's super simple, super easy to use. Mine's electronic. I press 1, that takes me down to my seated position. I press 2, takes me my standing, and my third one, just for my daughters. They can use that setting as well. And then you can do it by increments as well, just up and down. So that has been a game changer, having a standing desk. I will tell you this is something I think that is important to note, is that there are EMFs at the battery pack, essentially where you change the settings. So you want to keep your body away from that part if you are using a standing desk, or at least the one that I have. If you're very sensitive to EMFs, you can unplug it once you put it to a height you want, and then just plug it in to push it back down, and that will get rid of your EMFs. or they actually make crank standing desks. So you just literally use a hand crank and it cranks up to the level that you'd like. So really easy ways to do this, but a standing desk allowed me then to use the anti-fatigue pad below and the walking pad, which is basically a walking treadmill right at my desk. These have been around for many years. They're tried and true. Here's the thing, just like everybody else, you have to actually use them. And I wasn't using them myself to the degree that I should have until like most people, there was pain. Pain after doing many things that were easier didn't work. I said, hey, let's try this. And it worked, luckily. And it wasn't the first thing or even the 10th thing that I tried, but as I've always shared before, there's always an underlying root cause. So how did this, without having to do any extra strength training, without having to do any extra chiropractic or anything, get rid of my neck pain when physical therapy, chiropractic, and again, I'm not saying there's anything against physical therapy, chiropractic, they didn't work because I didn't change the underlying root cause of what was causing this. And it is compression. That is the main thing that was causing my neck pain. And it's not even direct compression on my cervical vertebrae. And I know that doesn't make any sense. It's the compression of my hips on a pad, on a chair. So what happens is my whole spine is being compressed. The neck is where it's coming out, but it's not just the neck that's affected. And I actually, this is almost by accident as well, I've started a running program and my right hip kept getting tight. And I'm saying, I'm checking my form, I'm cognizant of how I land. Sure, I'm right side dominant, so maybe I put a little bit more weight on my right side, but I'm thinking about it the whole time when I'm running. Guess what? When I sit, I lean more to my right side. And these are all things that we, again, unconsciously do. So by walking in the morning for about 45 minutes, sometimes just a little bit longer, doing my anti-fatigue standing at my standing desk, doing my later day workout, and essentially though, just not being seated for 8 hours a day, alleviated the compression and the whole popping of my neck went away. It comes back, believe it or not, when I'm driving in my truck, or if I've been at my desk all day staring at that monitor. And so those are the dead giveaways of, okay, I'm not at a monitor when I'm in my truck, but what am I doing? Well, I have my head forward looking at the road and my spine is compressed. So I'm still further doing things to strengthen the glutes and to do different movements like that. But it's also when that happens, I'm asking myself, is my head too far forward? So then when I'm in my truck, I just put my head back. Right? I put it against the rest. That then solves the whole issue. So part of it's compression and part of it was my head leaning too far forward. Just a couple other fun things that I like to use at my standing desk is a foot roller. So it's basically a wooden roller that I can show you. All right, so this wood roller, it comes with the sauna that we recommend as well. Really nice just for opening up the feet. Sometimes I'll just use a lacrosse ball to essentially roll my feet while I'm at my desk. It's great if you have plantar fasciitis or tight feet or anything like that. And then I do always keep beside me, my desk, a monster band. So basically a big band for strength training. And I will do some postural based work to help open up my chest area and strengthen my postural muscles. So I'll still do that. It takes 60 seconds maximum. I might do that once a day, twice a day. So these are all things that I use, but remember, there's always an underlying root cause. I did all of the things you think of first. It did not work for me. The tech neck, believe it or not, wasn't just staring at a phone or staring at a computer. It was being seated for too long, compressing my spine. Once I stood up with proper posture, engaging the glutes, not locking on my knees, not swaying my hips, all of that went away, not within months, but really within days to a week. So it can happen that fast. Tackle the problems now, though, before they do become truly degenerative, where the disc really wear down and can cause real health issues that then you need to deal with for years, of course, to come. So hopefully this was helpful. I'm going to link up as many of those helpful items that I know of that I've used myself at stevencabral.com/3203 on how to get rid of neck pain, also called tech neck or nerd neck, and then also my healthy desk setup. All right. Hopefully this was helpful. Do feel free to share the show with anyone you believe it could serve. Take care. Thanks so much for tuning into today's show. Before you go, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I want to make sure that you're getting our daily content, not missing out on anything functional medicine, wellness, weight gain, weight loss, anti-aging, living longer, stronger, and all of the most cutting-edge research. And if there's any topics you want to hear, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Take care.